Yeah, and to follow on from what Senator Dooley said, I agree with a lot of it. And when we look at it, he referenced the concept of the average punter, and that's something I talk about a lot when I'm in this house. What does the average man or woman on the streets of provincial towns like mine and Dundalk want to be able to do? And we all realise there's a climate crisis. Everyone wants to be able to do their part, but it's about making it as financially viable and as easy for those people to be able to do their part towards sustainability and impact the climate crisis and help it. And that's what we're doing through legislation like this. The carbon budgets are the vehicle that we are going to use to hit our sectoral targets by 2030 and 2050. It allows people right across Irish society, whether you're involved in business, whether you're involved in agriculture, or whatever it is, to be able to see the sectoral emissions that they have to get to actually get to a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. And that's the same as the carbon tax as well. Sometimes I try to think of an analogy, stuff like that. And the analogy I kind of thought of this morning or throughout the week, it's kind of like the equivalent of being in a burning house, and the fire brigade come along to put the fire out, and you say, no, it's okay, there's no need to spray water on my burning house, the fire is just going to go out itself. That's the concept when I look at it, when we want to try and defer the carbon tax, or we don't want to have a carbon tax at all, or we're not so sure about sectoral emissions, or we want to do this or we want to do that. Like, the overall reason why we are introducing all of these climate measures right across Irish society is to avoid a climate collapse, not for us today or tomorrow, but for our children and our grandchildren and for future generations. That is the overall arching aspect of this. And it's a debate, last year, like that's happening in our party at the moment, where some people want to defer the carbon tax. That's something I fundamentally disagree with, because I believe the carbon tax is the money that is raised goes back into Irish society to help people with the climate crisis itself. So whether that's 30% of it is going to social protection, and that's going to increase fuel allowance by €5. That's going to increase the living at home allowance as well. It's going to increase the qualified child payments. It's going to increase the threshold by €10 for family working payments. That's what the carbon tax is going to when we talk about social protection. When we talk about the 15% of the carbon tax that is going towards agriculture, that's going towards paying people involved in agriculture to help them with schemes to re-wet bogs, to replant their lands. It's to provide financial assistance to farmers to engage in a more sustainable way of farming practices. And then the big thing, and we had it at the Climate Action Committee this morning, is retrofitting. 55% of that carbon tax is going towards retrofitting. And that's going to provide a 100% free energy upgrade to those who are most at risk of fuel poverty. Those on the lowest incomes in Irish society will have a 100% free energy upgrade. Those can go for 80%, will have an 80% upgrade, and then those who want a full and a deep retrofit will be able to avail of a 50% loan, and the other 50% will be paid by low-cost loans where the finance is de-risked because the government is going to put up state money to go against it, and you'll be able to get loans at interest rates of 2 or 3% over 10, 15 or 20 years. And that is what the whole benefit of either the carbon tax or indeed setting carbon budgets has. It gets us to where we have to be. And the final thing about it is, it's not just about providing financial aid to people. It's not just about providing, getting people into warmer homes so their health will be improved, their energy savings will be improved. The main reason why we're doing all of this, Minister, is to avoid climate catastrophe, is to avoid a climate collapse. And I would be very reluctant to see a debate either like carbon budgets or like the carbon tax become a political football year in, year out. I saw it when I sat in Louth County Council for 6 years with the property tax, where it became a political football each year about whether you put it up or you put it down or you'd keep it. And what actually happened was, because politicians were kind of reluctant to make hard decisions, in Louth County Council, for example, it stayed the same for 6 years. And then we didn't have money to help people with housing maintenance. Then we didn't have money to help operation sections with roads throughout our county. So I'm really against playing political footballs, and I'm not saying that anyone else is. I want to be clear about that. I'm not saying that anyone is, but I'm very against the concept of politicising something important like carbon tax or carbon budgets when it's the safety of future generations and the very world is at stake that we're talking about.